Imagine this for a moment. You are not watching a debate. You are not trying to prove anyone wrong. You are simply asking yourself a quiet question that most people are afraid to ask out loud. If the Catholic Church teaches love, mercy, and dignity, why does it refuse to recognize same-sex marriage? Is it hatred? Is it fear? Is it tradition? Or is there a deeper reason most people never hear explained? Because here is the truth. Most people argue about this emotionally. Very few people actually understand what the Church teaches and why. And until you understand that, nothing about this topic will ever make sense. Part 1. What marriage actually means in Catholic teaching. Before asking who can marry, there is a more important question. What does marriage mean in the Catholic Church? Most people assume marriage is a public declaration of love, a legal partnership, a personal choice. But Catholic teaching does not start there. The Catholic Church teaches that marriage is a sacrament. A sacrament is not a symbol. It is not a cultural tradition. It is an outward sign of a reality instituted by God Himself. That immediately raises a logical question. If marriage is instituted by God, does the Church even have the authority to redefine it? The Church's answer has always been no. This is why the Catechism defines marriage as the matrimonial covenant by which a man and a woman establish between themselves a partnership of the whole of life. Catechism of the Catholic Church, section 1601. Notice what this definition does and does not say. It does not say, two people, any loving couple. It specifically says, a man and a woman. So the issue is not who the Church likes or dislikes. The issue is how the Church understands the nature of marriage itself. This leads directly to the next unavoidable question. Part 2. Why the Church links marriage to male and female. Many people ask, if two people love each other deeply, why isn't that enough? This is where Catholic logic becomes uncomfortable for modern thinking. According to Catholic theology, marriage has two inseparable purposes: unity, the total self-giving of the spouses; openness to life, the capacity for procreation. This teaching is not medieval. It comes directly from Scripture. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Genesis 2:24. Jesus Himself repeats this structure. Have you not read that He who made them from the beginning made them male and female? Matthew 19:4. This is crucial. Jesus does not redefine marriage. He confirms its original form. So the Church does not define marriage based on emotional fulfillment alone, companionship alone, personal identity alone. It defines marriage by what the union is ordered toward. This is why the Church teaches that marriage requires one man, one woman, lifelong commitment, openness to life. This is also why the Church says same-sex unions, while they may involve love and care, do not meet the sacramental definition of marriage. Not because of hatred, not because of fear, but because the structure itself is different. Part 3. Is being gay itself considered a sin? This is one of the most misunderstood questions, and also one of the most emotionally charged. Many people quietly ask, if the Church says same-sex marriage is not allowed, does that mean it believes being gay is sinful? The Catholic Church's answer here is far more precise than most people realize. According to Catholic teaching, there is a clear distinction between who a person is and what a person does. This distinction is not invented to soften the teaching. It is central to Catholic moral theology. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states, "The homosexual inclination is objectively disordered, but it does not constitute a sin in itself." CCC section 2358. This line alone answers a question many people have carried for years. The Church does not teach that simply being attracted to the same sex is a sin. At the same time, the Catechism also states, homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered and contrary to the natural law. CCC section 2357. This is where confusion begins. But notice the language carefully. The Church speaks about acts, not identity, not human worth, not dignity. In Catholic moral reasoning, a person's dignity is never reduced to their desires. This leads to an important clarification. Why does the Church make this distinction? Catholic morality does not judge people by feelings or inclinations. It evaluates actions based on purpose, structure, moral order. This is why the Church applies the same moral logic consistently. For example, a married heterosexual person can still commit sexual sin. A single heterosexual person is called to chastity. A same-sex attracted person is also called to chastity. The standard does not change based on orientation. This raises a difficult but logical question. If the Church requires sexual expression to take place within marriage, and if marriage is defined as male and female, then what does that mean for same-sex couples? The Church's answer is not emotional. It is structural. Because marriage, in Catholic theology, is not a recognition of desire. It is a covenant ordered toward unity and life. Part 4. Can the Catholic Church ever change this teaching? Many people believe the Church simply refuses to change, but Catholic teaching makes a distinction between discipline, which can change, doctrine, which cannot. This is critical. The Church can change fasting rules, liturgical language, clerical practices, but it cannot change teachings that are rooted in Scripture, affirmed by Christ, consistently taught across centuries. Marriage falls into this second category. Jesus did not leave marriage undefined. When questioned about marriage, he said, "From the beginning, it was not so." Matthew 19:8. In other words, Christ points back to creation itself as the foundation of marriage. This is why Catholic teaching holds that marriage is not something the Church has authority to redefine, even under cultural pressure. Why culture and doctrine collide here? Modern culture defines marriage by emotional fulfillment, personal identity, self-expression. Catholic teaching defines marriage by sacramental reality, natural law, divine intention. These two frameworks are not compatible. This is why tension exists, and this tension is not new. The Church has faced similar pressure before: divorce, contraception, remarriage. Each time, the question was the same. Does truth change with culture, or does culture change around truth? The Catholic Church has always answered, truth is not created by consensus. Part 5. What this means for Catholics today, and why this still matters. At this point, a very real question remains, one that many Catholics quietly struggle with. If I disagree with this teaching, can I still be Catholic? This question is not theoretical. It shows up in real life, in families, in friendships, in parishes, inside people who still pray, still believe, but feel conflicted. The Catholic Church's answer here is careful, not careless. Can a Catholic disagree and still belong? The Church distinguishes between understanding a teaching, accepting a teaching, and publicly rejecting a teaching, a Catholic can struggle with a teaching. A Catholic can find a teaching difficult. A Catholic can even feel emotionally opposed to a teaching. Struggle itself is not separation. But the Church does teach that knowingly and deliberately rejecting defined doctrine places a person outside full communion, not as punishment, but as consequence. This is not unique to same-sex marriage. The same principle applies to denial of the Trinity, rejection of the resurrection, refusal of sacramental reality. Catholic identity is not based on partial agreement. It is based on assent to a coherent faith. Why the Church does not frame this as hate? One of the most repeated accusations is that this teaching is hateful. But Catholic theology does not classify truth by whether it is comfortable. The Church insists on two truths at the same time. Every human person has infinite dignity. Not every desire can be affirmed morally. This tension is not selective. It applies to everyone. The Church calls married couples to fidelity, single people to chastity, priests to celibacy. The moral standard is demanding, universally. This is why Catholic teaching does not create categories of people who are allowed or disallowed based on preference. It applies one moral vision to all.